What's up, party people in the house? It's Dynasty War Games. I'm your host, Jesse Schneeman. I'm here with my main man, Chad Mendoza, as always. What's going on, Chad?
Nothing much, man. How's everything going?
Good. So we were supposed to be joined by Mike Casper tonight, but he's not here, and I'm hoping it's not because of the horrific Week 4 Denver loss. Hoping Mike's okay.
Yeah, he might be crying in a bathroom somewhere. I don't know.
He might be.
Cradled up in the shower, having a rough time with cold water on.
Yeah. I did want to start off talking about that a little bit before we get into our theme. I thought Russ looked really good today. Did you catch any of that game?
I don't think Russ has looked particularly bad all season. I don't think he's looked terrible. I think I don't know. I just think that they get down the field pretty easily. They just, it just seems like play calling and some of the scheme and when they get to the end zone is kind of a mess.
Play calling much better today. And some uncharacteristic, stuff like Melvin Gordon's lost 4 fumbles.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's not going to continue.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. He lost a crucial fumble today.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I just
what's their record?
A couple of nasty drops. Mike Boone, oof, boy.
Yeah, and I mean, their team's always had a lot of drops because Judy drops the ball a ton. Sutton has I don't think his drop rate's particularly high, but he's had some here and there. So I think they're one of the highest drops in the NFL, if not the highest drop before this week.
Really?
Drop rate, yeah.
Were you asking what's their record?
Yeah. I haven't really been keeping up with their wins and losses.
Yeah, I actually I don't.
Oh, they're 2-2. They're 2-2.
Yeah,
okay.
They were 2-2. I don't pay attention to a lot of records this time of year just because.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. So ugly drops, but just. Russ finally put up good fantasy numbers. He put up good fantasy numbers week 1 too, but top of the market fantasy numbers. Finally, I can stop dealing with low projections from the fantasy sites. Right? Everybody thinks he's going to score 16 points a week, and I can stop getting low ball offers for him and stuff.
Yeah. We just need like 2 more weeks of this, right? I think we're both pretty, decently invested in Russell Wilson. Coming into the season, and I definitely need him to have a couple more games like this so that I can try to move him to a contender because we're running out of time. People are buying other players, and I'm like, I need to move my guys too.
I actually took him in all 3 money redraft leagues as well, so I am heavily invested in Russ. All right, so you wanted to do a shout out before we get started?
Oh, yes, Chris Fellharber. Yeah, he sent me. I'm for those of you that follow the Premier League, I'm a huge Leeds United supporter. And Chris Fellharber, he lives in Australia. He's a Patreon member, friend of ours. He's a really good guy, and he sent me. Leeds had their preseason tour over in Australia. And so he sent me a bunch of stuff, and I just opened the box literally right before we started streaming and stuff. And he sent me this really, really kick-ass, Brisbane Roar jersey, which is a soccer team over in Australia that he follows. And he sent me a bunch of Leeds, stuff from the tour and some old Leeds stuff, I think from a friend of his that's been a supporter for a long time because they have a big Australian following. And I just wanted to give him a shout out because it was definitely surprising, but awesome, and I appreciate it so much. And
it's a good dude. Are you a little concerned how he got your address?
I gave it to him. No, when I say it's surprising, I don't mean like he tracked me down Liam Neeson style and delivered a package. No, he said he had some stuff to send me because he knows I'm a big fan of the team, and I don't get to see the team very often because they're based over in the UK. So it's rough, and that tour, I really wanted to get to it, but I couldn't find anybody stupid enough to go with me. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, great
Right.
guy. And the Patreon, I mean, the Patreon is like, almost like family now. It's one of those things. If you're not there, I mean, just like-minded people that uh really become really good friends, and it's a good time. So
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about my partner in the Patreon redraft league. That's that's the format, is that you have to partner with somebody else in the Patreon. So we partnered up last year and didn't do so well, but this year 4-0, baby.
well, you're weighing the team down. That's the problem. I'm Team Chris now, so
Right on.
no, I like you too, Jesse. We're good.
Zing. Thanks, Chad. All right, so this week we're gonna talk about we're gonna go through our top 5 favorite Halloween movies. So the format's real loose, right? I don't like these conversations like Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. Yeah, it is. It's set at Christmas. If you watch it around
Just
Christmas,
a movie you kind of want to watch at Halloween, right?
exactly, in October. We'll call it an October movie if you want, but these are Halloween movies. It's anything you'll watch in the month of October, anything spooky, or anything Halloween themed, right?
Cool.
So we're gonna go through our top 5, and we're gonna try to match each one of these these movies to a Dynasty player.
Okay.
Or I guess, or offense. If you want to go with a team offense as well, you can do that. Cool.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Sounds fun.
All right. Why don't you start?
Okay. Dawn of the Dead.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
love that movie.
Right on. Great movie, zombie movie.
Yeah, can't go wrong with zombies, right? Things coming back from the dead, finding life again, if you can call it life. I don't know, but getting reanimated or something.
Right.
And yeah, I guess the person I had in mind when it came to just a guy coming back to life, getting reanimated, figuring itself out. Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley, beautiful. Dawn of the Dead. I like it. Yeah, but I guess this is one of them that like you saw coming. So I guess like last year felt like the beginning of the movie, where you kind of see it coming, right? Like we're watching a movie for a reason. Something's gonna happen, right? And things are sort of calm.
Yeah, the hospital scene where
dead.
The nurses are confused and the doctors are like, "I've never seen this before." Yeah, that was like last season, at the end of last season.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Saquon at this point is an elite every week starter, correct?
Yeah, I think he's an RB1, right?
Is he the
RB1? He was. I think before, and he had a good game this week too. But I think before coming into the week, and I might be wrong, but just off the top of my head, I think he was RB1.
It's too early for me to look at rankings, right? I don't look at team records, rankings this time of year.
I just glance at it. Yeah.
But he's been amazing. I had another 170 something yards today. So, like I said, elite every week starter. He's 26 years old. What's he worth?
Yeah, he was RB1 coming into this week, ahead of Nick Chubb.
All right. So Nick Chubb had 100 yards and a touchdown as well. What Barkley didn't score. So they probably had around the same amount of points. And nobody actually like blew up today, right? I think.
Yeah, let me see. And they
Derrick
were pretty.
Henry had 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, and Nick Chubb slightly outpaced Barkley by 2 points. So yeah, I think they're about even now. They might be point something ahead of one another. I don't know. So yeah, pretty cool. Because both of those guys are guys that I have a decent amount of, and yeah, it's just nice to see both those really talented guys. Nick Chubb maintaining form and Saquon Barkley. Dawn of the Dead.
Right on. All right, cool. So I mean, what's Saquon worth? I guess is what we want to figure out. Like off season, you really couldn't get much for him. People probably would pay first. You probably could have gotten like a late 2022 first for him, but that's not I was never interested in that.
Yeah.
So, you know what's fun? We have the SmackDown banner up.
Oh, yeah, we're not the
Governor
SmackDown.
stuff. Yeah, well, shout out to Kyle August, SmackDown. He's doing great work.
Yeah, maybe they're a sponsor this episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, is he up to are people going to pay elite level for him? I guess is what I'm asking.
You have to. You have to. I mean, because it's not he's not just back at elite form, right? Like he's getting elite opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? He carried the ball, I think, 30 plus times this week.
Yeah. And you're right.
Let me just double check that. 31
catches.
times he carried the ball. And, he was playing at quarterback for a decent amount of the game because both Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor found themselves on the injury report a couple of quarters into the game. And so he wasn't really getting the opportunity to get any receptions for a chunk of that game. But I mean, he had 2 and he could have had more. I mean, this could have been a really monster game. 31 rushes for 150 yards. I mean, he's finding form. He's finding form, and I think it's something.
He can't throw but he can't throw the ball to himself. Russ can.
I mean, I think he can. I just don't think he's just give him time, right? Give him time. I don't think there's anything Saquon can't do at this point.
Russ caught a deflected ball that he threw.
Yeah, I remember that.
And ran it out.
I don't think he's the first one to do that, though. I think there's been a couple people that have done that. No, he's not.
Yeah, it's happened a few times. I've calculated that it's actually, I think the highest point scoring play is if a player throws a touchdown to himself for 99 yards. Because then you get passing and receiving touchdown.
Yeah, it's a good point. I guess I never stopped to think about that. I don't know how relevant that is, but
I've been
you're
down
just hoping
points.
for the opportunity one day.
60 points. All right, I need a 99-yard pass to himself.
Oh God, yeah.
All right, so I mean, but I guess my question is, are other people there? That's my real point.
I think so. I think anybody that's I think you're getting multiple firsts for him. I think you have to at this point. And I don't think anybody can realistically look at because it's not just a production, it's the eye test, right? You're watching him and he looks like rookie season Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he does.
And so people are saying, okay, he's 25, so he still has, a couple of more years of keeping that top of the market value.
Yeah.
If he stays on form. And yeah, I mean, he could be a league winner this year for what he was going for. I mean, you were basically getting him for a back end first, and he could be a guy that's, kicking 2, maybe even 3 firsts, by the end of the year. Who knows? I think that's a big price to pay, but
yeah, if you're a contender and you still have your first this year and next year, I'd do it. But so I have one Saquon Barkley share. It's actually in Patreon 3 league. DWZ Patreon 3 league, and on a rebuild. I mean, I have a lot of Saquon shares, but the one I have on a rebuild is in that league, and I'm looking to trade him, and no, I'm not getting any bites. I haven't gotten a single offer, no interest. But I'm holding out for a young player, maybe a couple of the rookies that have already started to show out this year. Would you do Saquon Barkley? Would you trade Saquon Barkley away for Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson? Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Would you do it? Would you trade Saquon in a second for Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson?
No. In fact, I was about to say I might want a second on top of those 2 young players.
Okay, because those are 2 players going for pretty much first plus at this point.
Yeah, well, they are. I mean, they started out as high to mid firsts and have only gained value.
Yeah,
those.
Well, I mean, if you compare it to the 23 first, because I think you have to separate the 22 and 23 class, right? Like,
sure.
Just because that's just because that's what people are doing. So right after that draft happened, and you had Olave and you had Garrett Wilson, I don't know if it was already fatigue from the players, which sounds ridiculous, but people were saying, I'm not giving up any 23 first, even if I think I'm going to win the league. I'm not giving you a 23 first for either of those guys. But now I think people are saying, okay, these are guys. Like these are guys. And
Right.
I'm willing to give up a 23 first and a little bit more to try to get one of them because they're rookies, they're rookie receivers that are putting up numbers. Garrett Wilson, to a lesser extent right now, but
well, yeah, unfortunately,
we've seen them flash big time.
Yeah, I mean Garrett Wilson's got amazing ability. Unfortunately, he just got a downgrade at quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. Which is crazy, right?
That we're saying that about
Flacco to
Flacco?
Zach Wilson. Yeah,
nobody should be a downgrade from Flacco, but I mean, he's a professional quarterback that at least anyway, I don't want to get into Zach Wilson. Let's just say that he's bad and cross our fingers that it gets better. But yeah, I mean, back to Saquon, I think I would want just a little more.
Okay.
You know what? It's hard for me to find a player that's worth all right, so a player from this last draft, this 22 draft that went in the second, that's currently worth a second.
Mm-hmm.
Either they've moved up or moved out. Moved up or moved down, sort of.
I've got a good one. I've got a good one for you. Would you trade Saquon? Let's say you're in a total rebuild, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody came to you and said, I'll give you Jahan Dotson and Damien Pierce.
No, see, now that's a lower offer than I'd rather have Garrett Wilson and
I think Pierce's value is going to be bananas this season.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, his workload is unquestioned right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
He just put up 130 or 140 yard game today. He, got 20 carries last week. I think somewhere around the high teens the week before. I mean, he's a rookie, I think he's going to be in the top 10 of RBs after this week. I'm pretty sure. And that's with having a really low week one. Maybe I'm off, but just off the top of my head, I can't think of too many RBs that are scoring more than he is the last few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he had the big week last week as well. I mean, he's taken over that lead role. I guess my issue is with how long are we going to see this kind of production out of him? Is it going to fall off? Is this sort of a Michael Carter from last year?
Yeah.
Are they gonna go out with their high draft capital next year? Obviously, they're not going to take a running back high in the first. That's where they get their quarterback. But
I'm with you. I'm clearly on the Saquon side, but I think some people would do it.
I can't do that. You'd have to add something.
Yeah, I think so too.
If he came out with Brian Robinson, Damien Pierce, and Dotson, that would get it done.
Say that again.
Add Brian Robinson to your package.
Add Brian Robinson. Okay, I'd probably want a little bit more than that, but
add Brian Robinson, or I don't know. Oh, you know what? Add Brian or add Sky Moore or Christian Watson.
Okay, yeah.
Two sort of depressed rookies at this point. Those are guys that were late first that are probably worth a second now.
Yeah.
Right. They're probably both worth a mid-second.
So let's go a little off topic here just for a second with Damien Pierce, because I think he's a cool kind of topic to discuss right now. I know we're kind of
anyway.
Yeah, right.
All right. Actually, can we hold that? Because I actually have him as one of my players that I was going to bring up later.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going then.
All right. So my number 5 movie. Oh, actually, before we move on to that, what are you drinking tonight?
Crawford Bach.
Crawford Bach. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's a Carbach beer brewed in Texas. So
give me
good stuff.
45 seconds. Riff for a second, and I'm just gonna grab a beer real quick. I forgot to get a beer.
Yeah, so I'll just keep going. Damien Pierce, yeah, that's a guy that I'm a little bit scared of just because of his draft capital is always people are always going to try to find a reason to depress his value. But I mean, even if he hovers around that, 15 attempts a game, rushing attempts a game, and finds somewhere between, 3-4 receptions, I mean, I think his value is going to maintain throughout the season, and he's going to be worth a first plus. So I'm going to be really curious to hear what Jesse thinks about him because I don't think he's a guy that Jesse was really high on coming into the year.
All right, King of Beers.
All right, Jesse's back.
All right, I'm only having one or maybe two tonight. Anyway, all right. So yesterday was my wife's birthday. We tied one on pretty good.
Good stuff.
Top shelf
Good
tequila
stuff.
came out.
Nice, man. That's always fun.
Yeah. All right. So my number 5 is this is a newer movie. A lot of people might not have heard of it. It's called Hubie Halloween. Have you heard of Hubie Halloween?
No, I have not.
This is a Netflix movie that came out last year or the year before with Adam Sandler. And I mean, it's just funny, right? I don't think it's a great movie. It just cracks me up. So the wife and I, it's a tradition for us. We're going to watch Hubie Halloween every year.
Okay. Nice.
So because of it's sort of a joke, the whole movie is a joke, it's got
it's an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a horror like storyline beneath it, but it's an Adam Sandler movie. It's him making.
Although, did you see that basketball Adam Sandler movie? Based in Philly?
Oh no, I didn't see Hustle. No. I missed that one. Come on.
Talking to the resident Sixers fan here.
That was such a great movie. Oh my God. I mean,
yeah, it was really good.
Juancho Hernan Gomez is not a great NBA player, but he really played the role well.
He might be an actor, man. He might have to, go and find really some Marvel superhero role or something once he's done in the NBA.
There are a couple of things about that movie. It cracked me up when they were like, when he was out on the playground and they're like, oh shit, Tobias got next. And I was like, Harris? Oh shit, it's Tobias Harris?
Yeah, everybody's excited for Tobias Harris.
And he like walks up and he's like, yeah. He's like draining threes and one. Yeah. Yeah. If you're draining threes, you're not a great 1-on-1 player. I'm just saying. Anyway, great movie though.
Yeah, really good movie.
So the biggest joke of a dynasty player to me right now would be one Mitchell Trubisky. So I don't want to talk too long about it. It's sort of just a portal to talk about Pickett since he got his shot today. Did you catch any of that?
I didn't. I saw the stat line, which is a little hilarious, but I definitely want to go back and watch the actual.
0 incompletions.
Except for except for the 2 picks, right? His incompletion.
Actually, he was 10 for 13 with 3 picks.
Was it 3? Okay, when I looked at it, there were only 2.
It was 3, yeah. He threw another one at the end.
So he can only just throw the ball to people. Like it just never hits the turf.
Right, exactly. Everything is complete.
It's not always the completion you're looking for, but it's always a completion.
So I think there were some people out there in the Dynasty community sort of hoping that Trubisky spent a year with Dable and Sean McDermott, and it was going to take a leap, because they did such a great job with Josh Allen, but that didn't happen. And Mitch Trubisky just looks like a joke. I mean, he can't lead an offense. They had 84 yards at halftime, with a pick. So like he doesn't look like a professional quarterback to me.
It's always funny to me when you have a guy who, looks like he needs more development. Right. And they say, the best thing, and maybe it is the best thing for them to sit. But then I always think like they're not getting real reps because they're not working with the first team. They're not seeing game time, which, I mean, with anything in life, experience actually doing what you're going to be doing is like the best way to learn it, and so I just don't understand how people are expected to make these leaps and bounds by sitting on the bench and then throwing to 2s and 3s practice, you know?
Well, I mean, you do go against the first team offense because you're the scout team quarterback, right?
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, you know, you are what you surround yourself with, right? Like if you're constantly, throwing to 2s and 3s and getting protected by 2s and 3s, like that's not much development. That's just, probably learning some
right.
bad habits too. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely off base. That's just
Well,
how
maybe he can
instinctually I think
go.
about it.
Yeah, maybe he can go and develop a rapport with Byron Pringle now.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the second team.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not Byron Pringle. No, he's on the Bears. My bad. I don't know. I don't even know who they have deep on their bench anymore. Ray McLeod.
Yeah. Yeah, I have
So,
no idea.
I mean, is this it for him?
It's got to be.
Is this
Got to
it for
be.
Mr. Trubisky? You think
I
they're
think
gonna
I
pick
think
it?
it's his. I think he'll probably, because he's such a nice guy, right? Like I think that he's fairly well liked. Everything that I've always heard about him is just that he's a good team player and a
He'll
nice
be
guy and
affable
everything.
enough.
So he's probably going to be one of those career backups that
Mm.
people take in and to be competitive with the younger player, and maybe step in if he has to, but is not
Yeah,
really
bridge
ever
guy.
expected to take a starting job from anybody, which is fine. A lot of people have made a hell of a living doing that, so no reason to feel bad for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if he's going to be affable enough to play that role, hell, I'd love to have him as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, why not?
He's championship caliber backup quarterback.
I
If
think
he
I
has to
think
come in
the
for a couple games.
I think one of the most underrated things about a guy like Mitch Trubisky being a backup quarterback too is, and not to get too deep into this conversation because it's not very relevant, but you have a quarterback, the new prototype quarterbacks that are very mobile and stuff like that. Once they go down, you need somebody to kind of replicate the playbook, replicate what that QB1 is doing. And there's not many guys like Mitch Trubisky out there that can use their legs the way he can do it, and also imitate a lot of the more athletic abilities of some of these high end QB1s. You stick in Chase Daniels behind Lamar Jackson, right? Like he can't run that playbook, but Mitch
Right.
Trubisky can to an extent,
Right. That's why they have I forget the name of their backup quarterback, but he came in and played it. Tyler Huntley.
Yeah. And that's a very extreme, but even like a guy like Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor behind him, right? Like Tyrod Taylor can go and run that playbook. A guy like Justin Fields, you need to have a backup behind him that can do a lot. Well, Justin Fields can't do anything, but
exactly. You probably can back him up with anyone in the fun. Yeah. Probably gonna get a little better. I mean, they might want to trade for Gardner Minshew.
We'll get into that because I think I have him as one of my guys for movie too.
Cool. All right. I also just want to talk about Pickett a little more. With Pickett's entry into the NFL came George Pickens' breakout game. So he had over 100 yards today.
Did he really?
Yeah, 6 catches for 100 some yards.
Wow.
So I don't think it's a coincidence. The Pickens to Pickett hookup has already started.
Nice.
And with the hype that George Pickens got in the preseason, now that he's actually, he made that crazy one-handed catch last week, Odell Beckham style. And then this week he breaks out in his 4th NFL game. His price is through the roof. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know if it's through the roof, but
I made a reasonable offer for Pickens like week 1 or right before week 1, right before the season started. And my response was, don't bother making offers for Pickens unless you want to offer multiple first, because I'm not trading him.
Yeah.
And now he's done. Yeah. Now he's done this. And I just think people who have Pickens aren't coming off.
Right? I don't know. I would trade him away for straight up for 23 first.
Just one?
Just one.
I think you can get more than that.
That's what I would do on trade him for.
You can get a first and a second easy for him.
I might, because I have him a number of places. I might go ahead and throw some offers out and try to get that. But yeah, I would take a 23 first round. I'll take your word for it, but that sounds a bit high for me.
DTC probably isn't going to reflect it, but I'm pretty certain that the actual market out there is just strong as hell for him.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, people love him. They love him. So yeah, I think I might take your advice too, because I have 3 or 4 shares. I found myself with a lot of those picks, late first, early second, and I was alternating between him and Jahan Dotson.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, it seemed like he kind of dropped, like tapered off a little bit, towards the later kind of, end of rookie draft season when I don't really know what particularly happened. Maybe the running back started getting pushed up a little bit, and the quarterback started getting pushed up. I don't quite remember.
James Cook had this.
No, James Cook was always kind of in that.
Once he got drafted by the Bills in the second round.
Oh no! I'm talking about after that. So for me, the start of the rookie draft season is right after the NFL draft.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about
I see what you're saying.
I'm talking about like from that point on to like when pretty much almost everybody was done with their rookie drafts. Like at the very end of it, it seemed like all of my later rookie drafts, Pickens was going in the second, but early on he was going in the first. I don't know if that's a super small sample size. It could just be in my particular drafts, but
yeah,
that seemed to be the case with him. And Christian Watson was always going in kind of in that the end of the first, and James Cook was going either right on the edge or at 201. Jahan Dotson, kind of same thing, 201 to 203 kind of area.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, I only saw Pickens go higher than that in one draft, and that was the draft you and I did in that 14-team league that went before the NFL draft.
Really?
Yeah, he went pretty high. He went like 5, I think.
Oh, 105. Oh yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I didn't see him go quite that high. Oh well, I guess maybe in that draft, but I didn't notice it.
Yeah. That's the only time I saw him go that high.
Yeah, for my drafts as high as I've seen him go, I mean, obviously discounting that one, is around like the 110 range, 109 range, which I think 109 was kind of high too. But anyways, beside the point.
Well, I mean, at this point, he's a better pick than Sky Moore or Christian Watson.
Yeah, at this point, it's still early on though.
Yeah, I mean, I overall, I would still rather have him. I just see him as a better overall talent.
Yeah.
He was. I think the concern with him was, is he going to be a knucklehead or not? And so far, again, it's early, but so far, no.
Yeah, it's just for me, like I've just been playing Dynasty so long that I see some of these guys that find this early jump in value, and it's all just kind of, a lot of the time it's all just hype until people figure out what's actually going on. I mean, even guys like as recently as T. Higgins and Brandon Ayuk, where their value is so repressed early on into their campaigns, and then it took a while to figure out, hey, T. Higgins is a dude, but early on, I mean, you could get him for basically nothing. It was like mid seconds you could get T. Higgins for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
So true. I mean, guys like Sky Moore, like they just need time. Even guys like Elijah Moore and those kind of guys, we just don't know yet. But I traded away Garrett Wilson for Elijah Moore in 2:23 seconds. Which I like Garrett Wilson better as a player, but I mean, 2:23 seconds, you can get good players in the second round. Sure. And I still think Elijah Moore can be a good player. So I don't know.
I'm in love with Garrett Wilson, so I wouldn't be trading him for that personally. That to me, that's the old Chris Harris calls it ponies for horses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, you can get guys like, I mean, look at all the good receivers going in the second round, especially in good draft classes. I mean, it's going to be very similar in the 23 class. You're going to get your guys like Brandon Ayuk, who went in the second round in his draft class, T. Higgins, who went in the second round in his draft class, Michael Pittman, who went in the second round in his draft class. I mean,
here's something crazy. So in my home Dynasty league, it's a 10-team, 1 quarterback, right? And benches aren't real long, and I think anyway. Jahan Dotson didn't get drafted, and it's only a 2-round draft. Jahan Dotson didn't get drafted. He didn't go in the top. He didn't go in 20 picks.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that. It was all, and this is one quarterback, so it's not like it was full of quarterbacks. I mean, Ritter and obviously Pickett did go, and Malik Willis. But I just couldn't believe that. I picked them up off waivers.
Yeah, it's nuts. That's just group thing. That's just group thing.
I couldn't believe it. Before week 1 started, I picked when Fab started in that league, I picked them up immediately.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think it's just when people decide to pile on a player. Actually, speaking of Brandon Ayuk, it was very similar to Brandon Ayuk, where Brandon Ayuk went really early. I think he went like 114 to the 49ers or something like that.
I know he was in the first round. I thought it was closer to the end. But anyway, yeah, he was the first round.
It was early. It was like either like 12 or 14 or something like that. He was, I think, the second receiver off the board, if I remember right. I think it was Ruggs and then him. Let me see.
Wow. Who was the other Alabama receiver that year?
Judy
went before him.
Or maybe those different draft classes on. Oh no, I'm wrong. Okay, so he went 25th overall.
Okay.
So okay, cool. But I mean, still, like, he's a first round wide receiver, and he was going in like the middle of second round in draft classes, and I mean in dynasty rookie draft classes, and you know it was one of those things. Like, I had some drafts where he was falling to like 208, 209, and I'm just like, like the team likes the guy. I mean, I get it. Everybody doesn't think he's going to be a great player, but and there was a point in time where he was worth a first plus. Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of depressed Ayuk. I guess the way he started off last year killed everybody's enthusiasm. It seemed like, he didn't get he didn't start week 1, and I guess, I don't know. I guess he was in the coach's doghouse or whatever, but I mean, he had a bunch of really big games, and when they really needed him last year, he was the man. And I see him as a huge part of this offense. He's just an entirely different player than Debo. They use them differently. Even though he can take handoffs, and he is really good with the ball after the catch, but he's a different kind of receiver, and they're going to use him. They're going to feature him in certain games because they're like, some teams are going to try to take away Kittle and Debo. Follow what I mean? Yeah.
I don't see him as just like strictly the third option. He's one of their top 3 options is how I see it.
Yep.
Anyway, a little off track. Let's get back.
What's off track.
Yeah. What's your number 4 movie? Well, it's on brand, and you did say you wanted to do it, so we did.
Yeah. So my next movie is A Quiet Place, fairly recent movie.
Really?
Absolutely love that movie. John Krasinski, I think, is a freaking, phenomenal director.
I mean, is it because Jim directed it?
No. I mean, it's a fantastic movie. I mean, I think it's phenomenal. I don't know. I mean, maybe I think it was pretty popular too. I think I remember it being popular, but I thought it was a really good movie. What's that?
They made a second one.
Yeah, I saw the second one. I like the first one better, but the second one was pretty good too.
I haven't seen the second one. Starring his real life wife, by the way.
Yeah. Emily Blunt.
Is she hearing impaired in real life?
No. Emily Blunt. No, she's a pretty well-known actress.
I don't know.
Yeah, who talks and hears and acts. Yeah. No, the child star in the movie that was actually hearing impaired in the movie, she is hearing impaired in real life. They wanted to make sure, that they hired somebody that was true to life and not, just acting it up.
Thanks for
But
making me feel like a jerk when I really wasn't that far off. But thanks.
you know I have to, man. But anyways, so these are kind of two players I wanted to lump in here. And that's Justin Fields and Trey Lance, and that's because people are getting a little quiet about maybe losing all of their value and not in the not so distant future. But yeah, I'm very, very, very concerned about Justin Fields. I'm actually not that concerned because I don't have any of them, but I'm concerned for him. I'm concerned for dynasty owners who are heavily invested in Justin Fields. And Trey Lance, I think that people have a reasonable argument when they say that, this injury doesn't change much. But I think it does. And I don't think it has anything to do with being reactionary. Actually, in our group chat with other content creators for the DWZ, we talked about this at length. And my position on it is usually with a player who we've seen their ceiling, or not even their ceiling, but we've seen them be productive players in the NFL. Even if it is only for a season or half a season, right? We've seen them be productive. We've seen what they can do on the field, and they go down and they're going to miss the rest of the year. You're like, okay, like the team has seen it. They understand that this guy is part of their future, and going out to replace them, especially at a position like quarterback, that's a big investment, right? So maybe he has a little bit of security there. When you get with a guy like Trey Lance, who goes down, who we haven't seen play good football, right? He has a very short term in college playing good football. And pretty raw prospect coming out. And he sat his rookie year, right? You're getting closer. You're getting really, really close to that 5th-year option by the time we're actually seeing what he can do on the field. And by that time, I mean, they're going to have to start thinking about, what if this guy doesn't play well? And if he doesn't come right out of the gate, next year swinging, he might lose his job very, very soon. And that's going to be an issue. Now, the thing that I'm also concerned about is that he doesn't have the experience, kind of like, I don't want to give any other examples, but just he didn't play a lot of games in college, but him not getting the reps in, right? Because he's going to have to sit, like he can't physically get the reps in. Like, like he has a significant injury. So it's just going to be another year of not being able to do anything except for mess with the playbook. And
sorry, I keep trying to cut you off. My bad.
No, go ahead.
No, well, he should get a full off season, though. I think that the injury is going to keep him out for the season, but not the off season.
Yeah, but you're talking about, I get that. And off season is good, right? But it's a whole nother full season of him missing progression.
Understood. He was very young coming out too, right? So he does still have time, and there's a big difference between Lance and Fields.
Young coming out doesn't mean anything, though.
Well, it does, because it means that he's got more time to sit it, but he's got more time, right? It
doesn't.
Hear me out. He can miss a year and he's not going to.
You're talking from a dynasty perspective.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, but I'm talking about from an NFL perspective, right?
Right. All right. So let me finish my thought. So there's a big difference between Lance and Fields in that Fields was not drafted by the current regime, right? And Lance was. Lance was drafted by Shanahan, 3rd overall, traded up for him, right? I just think that there's no way on this planet or the next that he's going to lose his job to anything but injury next year, right?
The 49ers have to compete. They can't go another year not being competitive with the roster they have.
I understand, but they are going to give him every chance to succeid. There's no
They're not going to give him every chance. They're not going to give him every chance. No, they're not, because if he goes another,
that regime cannot invest what they invested in him and hope and then him be a failure and hope to keep their jobs.
That's not true. We've seen it with guys as recent as Josh Rosen, where if you have a good quarterback prospect that you like coming into the draft, you have to pick them if your guy's struggling. You have to. But right? Hold on. If you are a competitive franchise, right? You cannot let the starting quarterback hold you back. If the starting quarterback is the guy that is holding the team back, right? It's not a Justin Fields situation. You're saying Justin Fields is at a disadvantage because this is not the regime that drafted him. Justin Fields may be at an advantage because his team's not expected to win.
But be
Right?
specific. Like how is that going to happen? He's going to have the job going into next year.
I didn't say he would lose a job going into next year. I'm saying that he hasn't played good football. Listen, I'm saying that he hasn't played good football. I'm saying that he doesn't have a lot of game experience at all, right? And now he's going to have another season where he's pretty much a rookie quarterback. And he's closer to where they're going to have to pay him. They're going to have to make a decision on his option. And they're not going to want to make that decision if there's any doubt. You look at a guy like Daniel Jones, right, who they didn't pick up his option. He's gone, right? We haven't seen Trey Lance play good football at all. Like, not at all.
Sure. Understood. But the Niners' patience with Trey Lance is going to be much it's going to go a lot further than dynasty players. That's all.
No, it's not.
Dynasty players have already given up on him, and he will be their starting
because you can still get
his job to next year. What resources do they have to put into another quarterback next year? Not a lot, because they spent a shitload of resources to trade up for Trey Lance, right? And they've got other holes on their team that they have to fill.
But if you have a guy like Trey Lance, right, who is going into another year, again, has not played a good game of football, the 49ers are not going to be a very good football team this year. They're going to be an okay football team because they still haven't sorted their quarterback situation out, right? They're going to be looking at veterans who are in free agency. They're going to be looking at the NFL draft, and they're going to be saying, okay, who can we get for insurance? And if Trey Lance goes into next year and he's playing like a rookie quarterback, which that's essentially what he will be, right? He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt anymore because it's time's up.
So next year you have to exploit the window for Trey Lance, and that'll be week 1 or week 2, right?
I mean, you've just got to. I think you've got to play it by ear. You've got to play it by ear. Like, you can't panic sell him, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you look at a guy like him and you can't just say, oh, well, it's Trey Lance. He's coming back from this injury next year and everything will be fine, because we haven't seen any football from him. We're year 3 and he's a rookie.
I'm in a much darker place with Fields. So Fields, I am not holding and hoping. That's what you have to do with Lance at this point. I feel you might be able to recoup some value. Like, maybe you could get Zach Wilson and a second or something.
If I can get any 23 first for Trey Lance, I'm doing it.
That might be tough.
Immediately. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I can, I'm doing it immediately.
I would too, but I don't think you can get that.
I don't know.
I mean, if you can get that, if I'm wrong, hey, take it.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people holding out on Trey Lance just because he's so popular amongst the Dynasty community. Justin Fields a lot of the same way, because there's no way Justin Fields should be retaining the value that he is retaining even at this point, right? Like, he's still being traded for a first round pick, and he's looked nothing like a NFL quarterback at all. Granted, you can blame that on, know.
I mean, at this point though, I think if you can get a first for Fields, you better take it.
Yeah.
I think pretty soon or currently, you're not going to be able to get more than a second.
I saw him move for a 2024 first yesterday in one of my leagues, and really? I was like, I probably would have done that too.
I would.
And that sounds kind of crazy coming into the year, but I mean, he's looked so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, worse than any quarterback I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
He's looked really Wilson. Bad.
I mean,
that's
And
I know people are probably going to kill us for this because a lot of people love Fields, but I mean, I just watched him against the Giants today. He doesn't look like a starting quarterback, and you can talk about his protection all you want. You can talk about his wide receivers all you want. Daniel Jones has worse wide receivers than he does. Daniel Jones has a worse offensive line than he does, and he still looks like a okay to bad quarterback. Justin Fields looks like a terrible quarterback, like a really, really bad football player. Minus the one throw that everybody blew up on Twitter for. I don't get it. But anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak for both of those guys, but definitely Fields more so, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a quiet place. Nobody wants to talk about
it. All right, so my number 4 is The Shining. Classic, starring Jack Nicholson. He sees a lot of ghosts in that movie, and so I brought him up a couple times. It's a man who I think sees a lot of ghosts. Is Zach Wilson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I watched a little bit of him today, and one thing he loves to do is scramble around when there's no pressure, or he definitely invents things in his head that are going on, and just will not just stand tall in the pocket, and it's a real concern for me. And I'm gonna say that if you can get what you paid for Zach Wilson, you better do it now, right? Because I think there's still a contingent out there that think that, you know, I guess maybe they're hoping and praying on the draft capital, and the fact that the Jets will likely give him another year. What this is his second year, they'll likely give him another year or two. So at least he'll be a starting quarterback. Do you think you can get what you paid for Zach Wilson? You know,
No.
late first. What about a 24? What about? Yeah, because the 23 first are so inflated. What about a 24 first?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think maybe if he comes back and has a couple of good performances in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, he's a guy that a lot of people. He just struggled so badly his rookie season, and yeah, he flashed, but you know, this year having Joe Flacco come in and look respectable in that offense and putting up decent numbers with the wide receivers in that offense, and when I say decent numbers, I mean providing production, because nobody's starting Joe Flacco right in their lineups. But
he was still putting up 300 yards. You know, he put up 2 300-yard games. You know what I mean? It's throwing touchdowns and stuff. He's not a good NFL quarterback anymore, but he can, like you said, he can provide fantasy numbers.
Yeah, but and I mean, he was just putting up really good. I mean, yeah, he had that like 4 touchdown game, but I mean, the other games weren't really good. But
last week he had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. You know,
Joe Flacco?
Yeah.
Against Cincy?
Yeah, I think he had 306.
I think you're wrong, but
you know,
I don't think
I can be wrong. But
I have him on a roster. I don't think that's right, but
anyway.
No, he threw. It was 285 and 2 interceptions.
Oh, okay, my bad.
But
in my mind, that's a 300 game, I guess.
No, it was I didn't know about the yardage, but I knew the touchdowns weren't right. I was like, I don't think he threw any touchdowns, but yeah, I mean, he was providing some decent production for the wide receivers in that offense, which is, you know, something that people desperately wanted because they have talented players that are worth a decent amount in Dynasty with Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson. So yeah, that was very important. And if Zach Wilson deflates the value of those receivers, that's going to hurt his value too, because people are going to notice. People are going to say, okay, I'm not starting Zach Wilson, so I'm not really relying on him, but I'm looking at these guys that I really want to do well, that I want to be putting in my starting lineup, and Zach Wilson is holding them back. And that's going to cause a ruckus in the Dynasty community. And just the perception of him is going to get even worse and even worse and even worse. That's just at least how I see it playing out.
Yeah. So how many of these guys are going to get drafted over? Do you think the Bears will really draft over Justin Fields next year?
I don't know. I mean, it's a long season, right? So we'll just have to see how the rest of the year goes. But if we go another, you know, half season of this, like, I mean, the guy's not even at 50% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Like it's bad. I mean, it is really, really bad. And he's like running into pressure, and Yeah, I mean it's not good. It's not good. Uh it's a tough call because it's such a big decision that an organization has to make. But it's one of those things, right? Like you can't just I'm not one that's going to say an NFL team is going to do this. They were going to replace Justin Fields. They're going to replace Trey Lance. What I will say is I'm not willing to risk on either one of those players that happens because I've invested. You would have to be invested so heavily in them because they were worth a lot of money. I mean a lot of money, a lot of value coming into this dynasty season. So are you willing to lose everything on it? Because the potential for that with both of these guys is there.
All right, so just put a cap on our Zach Wilson Fields Lance discussion real quick. So I made a trade right after Dak went down. I'm trying to repeat in that league. I won this Patreon 10, DWZ Patreon 10 I won last year. Trying to repeat, so wanted to go out and get another quarterback. My backup was Zach Wilson, who wasn't even playing at that point. So I had to do something. I picked up Cooper Rush. As it turns out, I probably should have just written that out. But I traded Zach Wilson and Jamison Williams for Lance. Right?
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I felt really good about getting out of Zach Wilson. Lance went down.
You just dug yourself out of another grave or out of a grave and just hopped in the one right beside it.
I really did. I just yes, exactly. Dug myself out, took 2 steps, and whoop, right back in.
Yeah. The grave next door. Yeah, that's exactly what you did. Oh man, that's funny.
So
at least you gave away Jamison Williams in the process, right?
Yeah. I don't have Jamison Williams anymore, at least. Right? And I don't have a backup quarterback either. At least Dak's coming back next week. But all right. So really the other person I wanted to actually I'll save him for later. So who's your third? What's your third movie?
So my third movie is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
And the nightmares. So it's not there's no specific
up in your nightmares.
There's no specific player that is my Freddy Krueger. My nightmare right now is setting my running back lineup for my games because all of these guys like J-Rob, Rashad Penny, Devin Singletary, all these guys that you're just like they're not lock-in starters, but they have the potential for really good weeks. You just don't know which one to start. I just traded for Robinson this week. I don't have any shares of him, and I was like, you know what? A guy that's kind of given up on the season, actually Kyle August and from the SmackDown. Yeah, so
in the RSO league.
In the RSO league that we're in, I traded for Robinson in that league. And I took out Elijah Penny and I threw Robinson in and I felt really good about it. And I was like, yeah, Robinson RB3. He's going to go to the Eagles who haven't been stopping the run, that well. And he's going to have a day. And he ran the ball 8 times and he got me like 3.2 points or something like that. And everybody knows what Elijah Penny did at this point in time. He, put up like 28 point something points, or Rashad Penny, sorry.
Elijah Penny doesn't play football? On a professional basis?
I think they're like brothers, right? Or cousins or something.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
They're related.
Yeah. Elijah Penny's big dude.
Yeah. Really I think he's always just in my mind because he played for the Giants for a while. Right. But anyways.
And the Jets, I believe.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. Anyways, so I just can't set these running backs in my lineup correctly each week. Tough. I'm just like, I'm missing. I'm whiffing it. And it's my nightmare right now. And I hope I figure it out soon because it is costing me weeks. Devin Singletary, I missed out on his big week and I started somebody else that was doing relatively well. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, and that didn't go right. I think it was Breece Hall. I started Breece Hall and then Breece Hall whiffed, and then I took Breece Hall out and then I put I think it was like week 2 or week 3 or something. Breece Hall had like a 15 or 16 point game or something like that. I was like, I just can't win with these guys, man.
Yeah, I was I whiffed on Michael Carter over. I started him over Kareem Hunt, and then this week it didn't matter. I could have started either, and it didn't matter because they were both scrubs, right? But I think I can answer your Devin Singletary problem. He's a flex start every week. They're using him. He's their lead back.
It's just tough. It's tough when you have a lot of my rosters. I have really, really good wide receivers, and that are like automatic starts in your flex. Yeah. And it's just that second running back position that is open because I'm not really big on keeping like 2 high end running backs on my team. And so I usually have a couple of those, fringe kind of, guys that you would like in your lineup, but they could have some down weeks. And yeah, your Robinsons, your Rashad Pennies, guys like that. Anyways,
well,
so
maybe your answer is to take 2 or 3 of them, add a pick, and get Saquon, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I hear you with Singletary. Like, I was wrestling with, do I start in 2 different leagues? Do I start in full point tight end premium leagues, Singletary or Dawson Knox, and in the other one, Singletary or Freiermuth? As it turns out today, there probably wasn't a wrong answer.
Yeah.
They all scored around the same, but I hear you. It's even uglier at tight end. Man, that is just it's at an all-time grossness level.
Yeah. The one that I am glad I started everywhere. The one that I am glad I started everywhere was Josh Jacobs, because I would have blew my brains out if Josh Jacobs put up a 35 point game, and yeah, I can't take it with these running backs anymore.
Josh Jacobs is a starter in your fantasy lineup, by the way. Don't ever bench him. He in this offense, he's not challenged really. Like, he only comes out as for a breather. They
just haven't been running the ball very often. No, I think they had like week 1 or week 2, they ran the ball a decent amount, but ever since then they
ball to him, and he's gotten a little bit of bad touchdown luck.
Yeah,
but, that's going to happen with Devontae Adams and Waller. I mean, not that Waller's stolen anything from him, but Adams, Waller, and Hunter Renfrow are all really good around the goal line. But he is their lead back. Both of his touchdowns came from about 10 yards out today.
Nice.
He looked really good. Really,
what's your next movie?
We were just on mine. That was did you give me your third?
Oh, no, that was mine.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. So my third is Army of Darkness, which is Evil Dead 2. Have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't.
Really? Starring Bruce Campbell? So
remind me of the plot.
It's a 90s movie. This guy is he works at S-Mart, Shop Smart, Shop S-Mart. And they find the Necronomicon in this cabin that they're at for the weekend, and he ends up fighting these evil spirits in the first one and gets sent back in time in the second one.
Yes,
and it's just full of like hilarious one-liners.
I don't think I've seen the second one. I think I've seen the first and the third. There's a third one, right?
Well, there are 3. The first and the second are the same. The second one is a remake of the first, right?
Oh, okay. So then I've seen the original.
And then there's another remake that they made just a few years ago that I haven't seen.
Okay. So I haven't seen the remake of the first, but I've seen the original.
Same style though. Lots of wisecracks. Like the bad guys are like full on Olympic acrobats and can do like double backflip with a twist, kind of in the middle of a fight kind of thing. It's really funny. Anyway, so my Army of Darkness, despite the scariness that happened in the last Dolphins game, is Tua and that offense. I mean, they are just an army of darkness. What they did week 2 was amazing. And then they took down the Bills. And if Tua had stayed in that game, no doubt in my mind he would have moved that offense. I just think that Tua is the perfect quarterback for a Shanahan system, which is what Mike McDaniel's running. And I think they've bonded. Tua's bought into the system, and it's just sort of it's sort of a perfect marriage. Unlike what's happening in Denver, things just sort of have fit right away, right? And as soon as Tua comes back from that injury, I think he's moved himself into top 10 quarterback discussion. What do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit too early for me personally for top 10
discussion.
Yeah,
I mean, would you at least entertain the thought that there's a good chance that he finishes? We'll say top 12, which is a number one.
Yeah, QB1. Yeah, I would say definitely part of that conversation. I think he's had a really good time thus far. But a lot of that does stem from the one really, really big game. So I just want to see him have consistent 20, 25 point weeks for a while before I say, okay, this is a reliable QB1 for me.
Do you think the spike that he got in value from that huge game, because it did happen, people did have now started to look at him like, oh shit, I should have gotten Tua while I could.
Did I tell you the trade that I made?
You did. Let's get to the trade in a minute. Let me ask you this question first. Do you think the spike that he got from that crazy game has now gone away because of the injury?
Yeah, I think it's really fluid, right? Like, I think just people, it's just in human nature, right? Like we get excited when things are very recent in our memory, and we just see it and we get super excited about it, and stuff looks great, and everything's perfect in the world, and it's all sunshine and rainbows, and but then as soon as something bad happens, people start remembering the doubts they had before that game. Right, and they start saying, "Oh yeah, well this is Tua, so we have to keep that counted into his value." So I think there's still some of that. Oh, he's Tua, going on a little bit. So yeah, when he has bad weeks, his value's going to drop a little bit, and I don't think you're going to see it really like fluctuate. 1 week he's worth 2 firsts, 1 week he's worth 1 first. Like I don't think it's going to go like that. I think it's just the price that will, or the amount of people that are willing to actually try to trade for him is going to change week to week, because people are still deciding if he's going to be a really productive quarterback for the entire season, and that's really what matters at this point in time. So would you rather pay 2 firsts to go and get Tua right now, or would you rather just pay a little bit more and get a guy that's not very popular, but is a QB1 like Kyler?
So he needs to back up that game with some solid weeks, just to sort of validate it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think just in people's mind, right? Like he's still a volatile player for a lot of people, and for me, for that matter. I think we can't just look at a 40-point game and say, okay, Tua's the man, like he's worth it.
Yeah, I mean that's not what we do in Dynasty.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, a lot of people do it right after that 40-point week. That was your window. But yeah, I mean, I think any reasonable person looks at that game and says he's going to come back down to earth a little bit, and maybe he's not going to have the 35, 40-point games regularly. I think that's a bit unreasonable to expect. But if you wanted to sell Tua, that was probably your time until he starts stringing together, or if he starts stringing together some good 20, 25-point games.
Gotcha. Okay. Right on. So, I guess my question next is, let's hear your trade.
Yeah, so I traded Tua. Let me pull it up. I forgot. I was so into our conversation that I completely forgot to pull it up.
Me too. I forgot what was coming next.
Hold on.
Damn it.
About to get it. It was very recent, so it shouldn't be hard to find. Okay, here it is. I thought that was it. I've made so many trades in this league. Okay, this is it. So I traded away Tua, Chark, and Bridgewater. And this is right after Tua's big game. And I got a 224 first, a 25 first, Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tyquan Thornton. So yeah, 3 first. Granted, one of them is a 25 first, but you know, it's one of those things. It's a league that I expect to be around for a long time because I know the people running it. But anyways,
that's a hell of a haul. I love that trade.
Yeah, and Jimmy Garoppolo, I flipped him for 23 second after Lance went down. And Matt Ryan, I'm in the process of trying to ship off now. So gonna get some it's a full-on rebuild. So yeah. People are willing to pay for Tua after these big weeks, and I think he will have a few more of them. Or like I said, if he starts, you know, stringing together some consistent weeks, you know, people are going to get excited about that offense.
So I traded Tua right after the big week as well. I traded him, Gabe Davis, and who's not such a hot commodity anymore, and Tyler Algiers for 2 firsts, a 24 and a 25 first. Is a league that will be around. It's content creator. A lot of content creators in that league, just a really good league. And 3 seconds and Danny Dimes. So I got 2 firsts, 3 seconds, and Danny Dimes. I'm trying to flip Danny Dimes for a second.
Yeah.
Injury today doesn't help that.
No, doesn't. And I think it's a high ankle sprain too, is at least what they were saying early on. So he may be out for 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah.
How bad is Tyrod hurt?
Concussion.
Uh-oh. So who's your third? Who's the Giants' third quarterback?
Saquon Barkley. That's who played quarterback when they went down. So as far as I know, he's the third quarterback. No, I don't know who they're going to bring in, but I'm sure they'll bring in either somebody from a practice squad or they'll find somebody in free agency. I think Davis Webb might be around somewhere. They might, you know, he might be in the basement or something. I don't know. They've got to go find him. He's oh my God. He just hangs out in the cafeteria while games are going on. You know, watching. He you know when you played high school football?
Yes, not very well.
So
yes.
You know, like on like right before game day when they would go and hand out the jerseys, and you know some guys didn't get jerseys because they weren't going to play.
Oh, it wasn't like that in our school. But
that's how it was in my school. Yeah,
no,
it's pretty embarrassing for some people, but
we all had 3 jerseys. We had home, away, and an alternate.
Oh no, we did too, but they wash them for you and everything like that. And then
really? No,
they go and
home.
Oh no, yeah, they washed ours for us and took care of them and everything. And then they would hand out your jersey, and if you didn't get picked to play in that game, they wouldn't give you your jersey.
That's rough.
But I imagine that's what they did for Davis Webb. They just didn't give him. They just don't give him a jersey, and he just sits in the cafeteria just watching the Giants on the screen. And I guess he might be playing. So
on Fridays we had to wear our jerseys in school all day, and we had to wear a shirt and tie with our jerseys over it.
Yeah, we did too. Minus the shirt and tie, we just wore our jerseys. But that makes it even more embarrassing though, because if you didn't get your jersey, people were like, "Hey, aren't you on the football team? Why aren't you wearing your jersey?"
Oh my God.
So I'd be so embarrassed for people. I'd be like, "Oh man, that sucks."
When you go to the school nurse and be like, "Oh, my head, my stomach. Oh, I think I'm gonna poop. I shit my pants. I gotta go home."
Oh man.
You shit your pants on purpose on the way to the nurse's office.
Oh man, this is bringing back so many funny so many funny memories.
That's hilarious. Right on. All right. So on that note, who's your number 2?
I'm done. I had one more, but I kind of scrapped it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
So I
that
got
was that was my third one. Yeah.
okay. I have two more. I have two classics.
Let's do it.
All right. So, Friday the 13th.
That was one of mine that I scrapped. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm going with DK as Jason. Right. This
Really?
guy.
Okay.
Yeah, we thought he was dead. We thought Geno Smith brought him in as dead, or bringing in Geno Smith killed him. Right. They thought a lot of things killed Jason, but it never really worked. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. He just kept kicking.
Yeah. At one point, he got replaced. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if it was Halloween or Friday the 13th, 3 or 4. Corey Feldman becomes the new Jason.
Really?
At least that's what they imply.
Is DK afraid of water? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know. Yes. He is afraid of water. But man, this dude is killing people, even with a career backup quarterback. He's killing people.
Didn't he get hurt though this week?
Did he?
That's what I heard. I don't know. I think somebody texted me that.
I mean, I'm going to go with he's playing next week because they always think they can hurt Jason.
Yeah. I was like, they might have actually hurt him. No, I don't know. I think maybe he was just down for a little bit. I don't know because I'm not seeing anything on it. Somebody just texted me DK down. I don't know.
So this is actually also in response to last week. I asked some people who they wanted to hear about was hear us talk about in our Patreon chat. And Joseph Fry, Darren Fitzpatrick, and Colin Jones all asked about DK. They all sent me DMs about DK. So I think he's a good candidate to be Jason, but I also just wanted to bring him up. So now that he seems to be proving to be kind of quarterback proof, is he back to being like a top 6, 7, 8 dynasty wide receiver?
I don't know because we're in that time of year when I just stopped really thinking about the context of like ranking, wide receivers and
okay, but
so
what I'm asking.
No, I mean I'm just saying that like I don't know where I would have him right now.
But is he elite?
But it'd be a fun exercise to do real quick.
Okay.
So who's your number one wide receiver?
Cooper Kupp.
Really, from a value standpoint?
Well, no, all right. So from a value standpoint, it's still Jefferson and Chase.
Yeah, Jefferson for me, and then Chase,
and then Kupp.
Oh, really? You have Kupp as your third?
Yeah. He's still untouchable value wise. He's really hard. Anyone that has him is pretty much a contender, I would assume.
Yeah.
Or they've already sold him. So he's pretty tough to.
Well, okay. I think here's a good I guess litmus test for you. Who would you rather have right now, DK Metcalf or AJ Brown?
AJ Brown.
Is that the Eagles? Is that the Eagles talking, or is that?
No, he's nasty.
We're in an Eagles sweatshirt right now, so I just have to make sure.
I've always loved AJ Brown though, and I've always had him as a top.
You've always loved him.
I've always had him as a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. He's never really fallen out of that for me. He was nasty last year when he came back. He's such a badass. I mean, the touchdown he scored last week, 98% of the wide receivers in the NFL can't score on that slant where he just powers his way in. Another 5 for 95 today, and his production would be higher if the Eagles weren't just taking control of teams and then taking their foot off the gas. So, and it's not even that they took the foot off the gas. It's just they're so good at running the ball that they can run the clock out on anyone. So,
okay, next one. Would you rather have DK or CeeDee Lamb?
That's closer, but probably Lamb.
Yeah, me too.
I just see him as a more complete player, and has a better quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. All right, so yeah, just after that first tier of guys, I guess.
Yeah.
What about this one? Because I think I may be a little bit higher on this player than you are, but what about DK or Jalen Waddle?
Ooh. So Waddle, probably.
Yeah, okay, me too.
I mean, I probably have Waddle, Tyreek, and I was just thinking of there's another wide receiver that I probably have above DK. So, he might be like scratching the back end of the top 10 for me. Oh, Debo. I probably Debo above him.
Debo.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then it's
what about Darnell Mooney?
DK.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
High-end wide receiver 3.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I'm just kidding. He has a shot at wide receiver, back end wide receiver too. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you there. Anything else?
So it makes me, it frustrates me a little because I definitely got some undervalued DK offers in the offseason, and I rejected all of them.
Yeah, I bought him a number of places. I think 2 or 3 places I bought him because his value was so low, and he's a young player. You expect Seattle to go out and get a quarterback.
Yeah. Right.
So it was a very short-term play that people were taking with DK, and it really confused me. So yeah, I bought him a number of places, and he was fairly cheap. I think most of the time it was just for first. So granted, it was a 23 first, which people are really high on, but
yeah,
still.
Yeah, I'd say he's worth that. I mean, it depends on where the first is.
Yeah.
I'd hate to give up on, I'd hate to give up Bijan, or I call him Bijan Robinson. I don't know why I just got to call him Bijan. But I'd hate to give up.
No, it was mostly on competitive teams. I didn't buy him on any rebuilds or anything.
Yeah, right.
Rebuilds, I kind of want to be a little bit more.
Yeah, if it's your first and you're competing and you figure it's going to be late, then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought that about Chase Claypool a couple years ago.
God, Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I gave up a 110 for him. I'm still feel
looking for that 110, huh?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I have one more, and Halloween. How can we not mention Halloween?
Halloween, yeah.
Right. So my pick for Michael Myers is gonna be. I had it. Yeah, actually, I thought I had it here, but I'm going to go with a player that you just can't kill. You thought you could kill. I had it. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, did you know? Have you watched all of the Halloween movies?
All of them? I doubt it. That's like asking if somebody's watched like all the Fast and Furious. I don't. When did they stop making Halloween movies? I don't know.
They haven't yet.
Yeah,
they made one this year.
Yeah,
one
so
out in the theater.
I don't even know how many there are.
Right now.
I like legitimately cannot answer that question because I just don't know how many there are.
The third one is not a Michael Myers movie. It's really weird. It's completely out of the series, and it's its own like weird story about a Halloween mask company that makes these masks, these pumpkin masks that are really popular, and all the kids are wearing them. And they have this commercial that they keep playing, and at I forget, it's like 8:00 on Halloween night. The masks are going to turn everybody into zombies, or I forget the exact kind of
pumpkin monsters.
Yeah, pumpkin monsters, I guess, or something like that. But
it's just a wild guess with the pumpkin mask.
Yeah, it doesn't end up happening. Whoever the hero is, Treat Williams or whatever, saves the day.
Yeah,
and but it's just always struck me as so odd that it's called Halloween 3, but it has nothing to do with Michael Myers or anything else. That
he missed the show.
Yeah,
he forgot to show up. Yeah,
he was late for taping, I guess.
They should have picked something a little bit more, realistic. Like the kids all bought possessed fidget spinners or something. I just highly doubt that all the kids were just buying these pumpkin masks
What was like
but
1982?
oh, okay, yeah, maybe, yeah, those were weirdos back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't know what
That's
the hell
your
we were
era.
doing.
Yeah,
It
y'all
was
had
in
nothing
second.
better to do.
I was in second grade. Yeah.
What did you
Literally,
guys have? You guys had yo-yos, right? Back
we
then?
had handheld Coleco football with the dots.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was an
I had
amazing
one of
game.
those. I had one of those growing up from my dad.
Yeah, I spent way too many hours playing that game. So I do remember who Michael Myers is. Actually, it's going to be Michael Thomas. You think
Michael
you can kill this?
Thomas.
Yes, you can think you can kill this man, but you can't. He comes back with what, 3 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks.
Well,
shame
you can kill him a little bit because he missed
the
this
game
week.
today.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's having a good year thus far. Not the really elite year that you've kind of come to expect from the Michael Thomas brand, but pre-injury. But
he looks like Michael Thomas.
Yeah, and he hasn't been seeing a ton of snaps, which is the thing too. Like he's only been on the field on a snap count. So,
but if you watch it, he looks great. He looks exactly like Michael Thomas always looked like. So I feel like if we can keep him healthy through the end of the year,
yeah, who knows though? They couldn't even keep him healthy through 4 weeks. So
yeah, I got a 24 first for him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
He was one of my speculation guys last year. I bought 2 shares of him, across my dynasty leagues last year in rebuilds, knowing that obviously I'm not buying him to try to win in a rebuild.
Yeah,
I just was buying him when he was out for the year and everybody thought he was done for his career. Bought him super cheap, for late second. Or what I did was got him as throw-ins in deals.
Yeah, his value was so repressed. That's pretty much what he was. Essentially, it was just throwing.
I was already getting what I wanted pretty much, but just needed a little more. And give me Michael Thomas.
Nice.
So I did that twice last year and just flipped one of them for a first.
Sweet,
the other
man.
one, the other one is I'm going to have to wait a little while, I guess. All right, so it was a fun week. Week 4. What did you think about the week overall?
Yeah, I haven't really gotten a chance to go back and look at all the games yet because I was working or busy. But I caught a couple of games and looked at the scores real quick. But I kind of want to deep dive into a few of them and see how people how teams panned out. But yeah, very very interesting week from what I saw thus far.
Yeah, a lot better than I thought it was going to be because of all the bad weather in the Northeast. It was really nasty in the Eagles game. I think Giants game had bad weather. Ravens game still worked out fine. So we really didn't get sloppiness. Or
did Kamara get you this week?
No, I moved him out. No, actually, he might have won me a game because my best friend in the world that I've known since 3rd grade forgot to take him out.
Yeah, they didn't announce it till this morning that he was going to be out. So I slept in late because I was up real late last night. And it was the London game and they announced it real early and man, I left him in 3 lineups. Oh man, I'm obviously competing teams. And yeah, one of them ruined my perfect record. So very upset about that.
I was actually able to go in and pick up Latavius Murray to start over him.
Oh man, see.
And I only have 1 share of Kamara.
Early birds.
No, yeah, I set my alarm this morning. Was not a good feeling. Like I said, we hit the top shelf tequila last night, so I was a little rough at 9 a.m. All right, yeah, definitely better than week 3. Week 3 was just for some reason a slog. Just no high scoring players. Just week 4 was a lot better, a lot more fun.
It was a fun week. It was very, very interesting. A lot of my really good teams just did okay this week. I still won most of my leagues or my weeks or I won a lot of games in the leagues that I'm competitive in. But I didn't score as high as I've been scoring thus far this season. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see when I really deep dive what exactly is going on. If it was the quarterbacks that kind of underperformed, or the because it seemed like the running backs did okay. I think, right?
Yeah, there's some good running backs this week. Except
So,
for, I mean, we lost some guys. Jonathan Taylor went down, high ankle.
yeah. What do you know the full story on that, or?
I just heard high ankle.
Oh, and I
would
just
assume.
I just looked at my text messages on DK, and he's not hurt apparently. At least I don't know if this is a joke or not. Maybe a joke, but my buddy texted me that he just had to poop.
Oh no, that really happened. I forgot about that. Yeah, they carted him into the locker room. Literally took him on the little driving stretcher into the
Oh,
locker room because he had to poop. Like, I think he had to sit or it was going to come out.
okay. So I just thought it was a really childish joke because my buddy texted
No, it
me.
really happened.
He said DK down and that's it, and then he texted 3 minutes later and was like, "Never mind, just went to poop." And I was like, "What?"
No, it's real. It really happened.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Fun times.
Amazing note to end our week on.
Well, I'll give him a shout out. Thanks for the fun text, Chase.
So I'm gonna apologize to everyone for the false advertising. We really thought Mike was gonna join us this week, but
you never advertise Mike. You just, if it happens, it happens. You just let him show up and let it be a surprise, a fun surprise, or a really poor surprise for the people that don't like him. I don't know, but if you really hate Mike, leave us a review and tell us how great we are and tell us how much you dislike Mike, or if you like all three of us, leave that review too, preferably. But anyways, just leave reviews because we need 5-star reviews or 4-star reviews or whatever, 3-star reviews. Don't leave 2-star reviews, 1-star reviews. Just keep those to yourself. Or are we just hunting for reviews? I don't know at this point.
Reviews are always good. 5-star ratings are great.
Okay. Reviews are good. 5 stars are great.
Yeah. I'll
cool.
put it that way.
Okay.
Right on. All right. So those are your spooky Dynasty players. We'll be back next Sunday night. I will probably be hungover as shit because my 30th high school reunion is next Saturday night.
Oh, fun. I thought you said you weren't going to that.
Nah, I'm going.
I knew it.
I have to. I don't know. The wife is making me, basically.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't have to explain yourself. You're a grown man. Do what you want.
Not going. I don't want to go. That's the whole thing.
Or don't do it. Do what your wife says.
I'm gonna see 4.
I remember you being very firm. You're like, I'm not going to that shit. And very firm, very enthusiastic about not going. And I was like, I'm going to my reunion.
Already paid for my hotel. Already paid for my hotel in Priceland. It's not refundable. I'm going.
Fun times. All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up.
All right. So for Chad Mendoza and not Mike Casper, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
Later.
That's what you said.